This is Jpar.
This is Myles.
This is Lipp, everybody. And Da Boo.
And this is the new review. And we are reviewing Captain America Civil War. So, doing new reviews once again. We're going to do the spoiler version for about 10 minutes. We're going to talk about just our general impressions of the movie, give you a rating, and then we're going to flip into spoiler mode so that way you can kind of enjoy both sides of it.
You said spoiler mode twice.
Oh, did I? Yeah. Sorry, we're going to give you the non-spoiler version first. We promise nothing, folks. Son of a bitch, that was almost a perfect opening until I said that.
I was wondering where you're going there, and I looked over at Lipp, and we heard the same thing.
Yeah.
So first we're going to give you the non-spoiler part, folks, and we're going to give you our general impressions of the movie, and then give you a rating, and then we're going to flip over to the spoiler side, where we're just going to reveal everything and tell you everything about the movie, so be prepared for that. First off, Captain America, third segment of the Marvel movie, Captain America franchise. This time with the Superhero Registration Act in place, pitting the heroes against each other. Captain America and Iron Man going to head-to-head or gauntlet to shield in this situation. Myles, what are your first impressions of Captain America Civil War?
I loved it. Start to finish. One small little gripe, but we'll talk about that later. During Spoilerville. But as a movie, it was really well done. Russo brothers nailed it out of the park again. So I was very happy and very pleased.
Lipp.
Okay, so similar to Myles, I really enjoyed it. I do have a little stickler piece just when it comes to what happened in the comics versus what happened in the movies. I think we'll get a bit more into that as we do these spoilers, but for the most part, love the action, hilarious comedy that I've come to expect from these movies, and they're always reinventing the action scenes too. There's a couple of times where I went, oh, that's pretty cool, really enjoyed that, great comedy, and then just at least for me as a comic book fan, some of the plot points were a little off, but that's okay.
And Boo.
Same. I really enjoyed it. I have to admit, I think for me too, I was more like the flow of the movie was really nice and clean. It felt like there was no, well, maybe some moments that felt a little slower than most, but the fact that the movie felt really nice and clean all the way through from beginning to end, I didn't have to worry about any particular part of the movie making me fall asleep. So that's always a good sign.
And I 100% agree. I was strapped in from beginning to end, and there was barely a dull moment, and there was so much action going on, and well choreographed action, I might add. It was very well done. A lot of characters came out to play, and a lot got to play hard, which was great, and that was really awesome to see. I feel like it wasn't as crammed as Age of Ultron. I want to say, do you guys feel that way?
Ooh, I don't know, man. There's tons of there's like 12 superheroes.
There's definitely more characters. I just felt like they handled the characters better than the way Age of Ultron did.
Yeah, there was better character development in this one because they introduced two new characters and they gave them both pretty just screen time, and you're not really left asking too many questions afterwards.
Is that a reference to Ant-Man and Spider-Man? As your two new? Or which we're talking about?
Well, Ant-Man was already introduced in Ant-Man, but Spider-Man was introduced with Black Panther.
Yes. They are the two debuting into the Marvel Universe here.
Yeah. Is any of this considered part of Spoilerville?
No, that's not Spoilerville. People know that they're in the movie.
You watch one trailer.
We're not talking about the story yet. We're not telling you whose side they're on or anything like that.
Good point. Sorry, just checking.
And I thought Paul Rudd was goddamn hilarious as Ant-Man in that.
And he was hilarious in Ant-Man before, but
yes,
and that's something else. The comedy was just great. It wasn't as corny as the comedy was in Age of Ultron, where I
would agree.
Everyone got one-liners, even Ultron, even the bad guy got one-liners. You know what I mean? Everyone just had zingers in Age of Ultron. I found the comedy was much more fitting to the character who was saying it. Spidey is, this is almost getting to, I don't want to get into that too much. But you know what I mean? It's like, I find the comedy was just better this time.
Was it Age of Ultron where, one of the jokes was that Cap said language?
Yep.
That felt like a very childish joke.
It was very bad,
Like-
very PG.
Oh my god, it was really just cramming down Marvel PG jokes down my throat, and I just hated that.
Cap has kind of said stuff like that in the comics before.
Yeah, I know, but
He's old school, right? So he's clearly bringing back. I know what you're saying. It's kind of like.
I know what you're saying. This is supposed to be a more modern Cap. It's not supposed to be the. But even though he is still from the 50s, I don't know. That doesn't make sense. But I know what you mean. It's some things you translate from the comics, some things you don't. You're just saying that's one thing you.
I just thought the jokes were more appropriate in this one.
I thought the in Age of Ultron when Black Widow's going through, she does the beep beep. I'm like, come on, give me a break, come on. Like just one too many of these cornball jokes, Whedon. And I find the Russos did a fantastic job this time around.
Yeah, because there wasn't that much comedy in Winter Soldier. It was such a dark tone, ominous. The entire movie, tension was building. This one, they let people, like you said, have one-liners. And that's what I was worried about going in, is you have all these people, Ant-Man, the Quip Master. You have Hawkeye, who's sarcastic all the time. You have all these people, and Spider-Man's supposed to be sarcastic.
Very witty, in his own right, yeah.
I was worried that there was going to be too much clashing of that, but it was done A1. It was perfect. It was, really good storytelling, and then quip, and then you're laughing, and then right back in. You're invested again. So it was really well done.
All right, so we're going to give this a rating now. So tell me why you're giving me the rating. Once again, without revealing too many plot details.
I'm going to give it a 4.5.
4.5, very solid.
Very solid. I would have given it a 5, but there is some minor things that happen throughout the movie that if you were to take it out, it would be the same movie, just maybe a little cleaner, a little more makes sense.
Less cluttered, almost?
I wouldn't even say cluttered, but when we get into Spoilerville, I'll explain a little more, but I give it a 4.5. It's almost the perfect Marvel movie for me.
Understandable.
And Lipp?
I prefer to go last here.
You would prefer to go
I'm a little harsher, I think, than
last.
everybody else, yes.
All right,
Well,
Boo.
I'm going to admit, I think 4.5 is what I was going to give it in the back of my mind. I can't nitpick at details because I'm not a comic follower, so I'm going to admit I have the disadvantage there once again. But, from the basic knowledge that I do have, I kind of feel like some of those components coming from the comic generations, and I'm sure they will admit, if you specifically narrow it down, there are some things that I feel like they omitted that kind of make me have it lose its 0.5, unfortunately. But great all the way through. That's a movie that is definitely one for generations to come.
I thought about this all day yesterday and all day today. And when I came out of the theater, it's like, I know what I want to give this movie. I know what I want to give it. And the longer I thought about it,
Was it a 5 originally?
I tried to persuade myself out of my initial reaction, but I could not do it. I could not. This movie gets 5 stars, baby! Oh, yeah!
See, and this is why I had to go last. I think I'm going to give it a 4.
Okay.
But yesterday, I was riled up. I was going to give it a 3.5 yesterday. I was riled up, and I think we talked about this. We'll get into the spoilers a bit, but I've kind of came back from that. And originally when I came out, it was a 4, and then I riled myself up yesterday with some of the stuff I hated about it, brought it down to a 3.5. And I'm back sitting at a 4. It was a good movie, and I can't really, I don't know. Some of the plot points, I guess I can't really take off that much.
I totally understand. You told me reason why you did, and I understand why you did give it the rating it was. And I agree, and this is the reason, and it's probably one of the reasons why I tried to argue with myself to not give it a 5. That's something that was in the comic, but that's not in the movie.
Yeah.
That some people might really want to see in this movie. To me, it didn't affect my enjoyment of the movie.
See, it's funny you mention that, and I have to admit, I think we've all said it in our own way. It's not that it made the movie better or worse. It was just, there was these little details that kind of made us spot them. And because we spotted them, I think is part of the reason why we had to pick at those little things that have been either omitted or changed or whatnot. And again, in Spoilerville, we'll cover that. But I think I kind of feel like everyone's unanimously admitting to the fact that those little changes seem to, change our perception on the movie a little bit. I kind of think it was a smart move. I have to admit. they could have easily gone the route entirely following the comics, and it would have been too easy. And if you ask me, really, from a creative standpoint, they could have easily gone, we're going to plagiarize the shit out of the thing, out of the comics, and we'll leave the viewers up to decide whether if it was perfect or not. If they did that, I have a feeling we would have been picking at it a lot more. So I'm glad they did it this way.
All right. So we got a 4.5, 4.5, a 5. I'm crazy. And 4 for Lipp.
4, yeah.
So those are very, very warm reviews, especially in comparison to Batman versus Superman.
It was a good movie. It was a good movie.
Mm-hmm. And so that's the end of just our general impressions. And we're going to get to the spoiler part just a bit. But everyone should go out and see this movie. It is fantastic. And it is a spectacle. It's the kind of movie you want to go see in the theater.
Yeah, whether you're a comic book lover, a movie lover, an action movie lover, it's got everything. So,
Even comedy lover.
comedy lover, yeah.
All right, so getting into the spoiler section of the review. Let's say why we like it. And the things why, it didn't get the 0.5 or it did get a 4 instead of, a 0.5,
So, like Lipp, when I came out of the movie, I wanted to give it a lower mark. And then I thought about it all day today, and it went up 0.5 because I couldn't really... The movie was still fun, and it was still engaging, and it still had really good character development. And with the amount of characters that were on screen and it wasn't jumbled, I had to boost it to 4.5. So why I liked it? It was amazing. It was great. The airport scene. Can we talk about the airport scene?
The airport scene! Oh my god!
It was like 10 minutes straight of balls to the wall action, and right off the bat,
And quips! And funny quips!
And Spider-Man was
Spider-Man
actually
really
really funny.
Oh my god, that's okay.
And he's
That's
so
okay.
young.
That's something I gotta say right away. This is the part where how much I love the movie. The part I liked least about was trying to get into this new Spider-Man. I'm like, oh my god, we got into a third fucking Spider-Man. He's rebooted again. You know what I mean? We have to learn who he is. He's different from the other ones. He lives in an apartment with his Aunt May. His Aunt May is Marissa Tomei, for shit's sakes. Like, okay, I never...
Hot.
I didn't... Yeah, I don't want to think of Aunt May as hot, okay? That's just wrong.
There's a lot of fanboys out
But
there that probably disagree.
Oh my
Yeah,
lord.
You can't ultimately complain, but I know what you mean. When you think of Aunt May, you don't think of an attractive woman typically.
No.
That is, if that's the only nitpick you can get out of this, that's pretty
No,
good.
no. But I also had to get used to this new Peter Parker, right?
Extremely young Peter Parker.
Extremely young
They
Peter
cast him
Parker.
young, it looks like.
He lives in an apartment. He doesn't live in this townhouse in Queens with Aunt May. It's like he lives in this apartment now with Aunt May, and he's a little bit different than the other Spider-Man. So that was the part I was like a little bit worried about. And then once they got to that airport scene, and
Super
Spidey was
sarcastic.
just holding his own with the rest of the older heroes. And they were all going toe-to-toe. You got Black Panther smashing into Ant-Man, and Ant-Man smashing into Spider-Man, Spider-Man smashing into...
Winter Soldier,
Oh my-
Falcon, Captain America. He took
There
on
was some
pretty much
good-
all of them, yeah.
There's some good battles there too. Just characters you wouldn't really see fight often, and it was good. I found Ant-Man and Spider-Man just dominated the hilarious jokes in that battle scene.
Oh, yeah.
Where Ant-Man goes big. Whoa! Holy shit!
That was a really cool surprise, too,
It
because Iron Man thought he was, like, cocky because he had his, he had his little surprise. Oh, here comes Spider-Man. Spider-Man grabs the shield, and he's like, oh, go, Ant-Man. And suddenly, Ant-Man's on the shield, bursts up, and, like, War Machine's like, what's going on? Like, totally clueless again, like usual. Just so much funny shit and so much action-packed shit, so well choreographed, all happening in one tremendous scene.
Oh, loved Ant-Man in the Iron Man suit. It was just singing, "It's your consciousness."
We don't talk that much anymore.
Or what about the scene with who's in the truck there? Winter Soldier and Falcon.
Oh my god, yeah,
Oh,
because
yeah.
Cap gets that getaway car and ends up being like a punch.
Volkswagen
yeah,
Beetle.
Yeah, a Beetle.
An old Beetle.
And Winter Soldier's sitting in the back and Falcon's sitting in the front. He's like, can you move your seat up? And Falcon's like, no. And then later on, they have another funny scene where they're both fighting Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And then they finally get rid of him with Falcon's
Red
little
Wing.
gadget. Red Wing, and then Winter Soldier's like, you could have done that sooner. He's just, I hate you. So exasperated from fighting Spider-Man.
Teammates that hate each other.
Yeah.
So,
And that's what I mean, like, the comedy was spot on. Like, everyone's lines were, like, it was appropriate for their character. It wasn't just a corny line. It actually made sense that they were saying that line, you know what I mean?
I kind of appreciated the fact that because they revisited Spider-Man, that there was obviously that emphasis on how young he was. Going back to the airport fight scene there when, he goes on to describe to the team, you remember that old movie, Empire Strikes Back, with the walking things? They all turn to Tony like, Tony, where'd you find this guy? How young is this kid? I don't know, he's in the young... What did he say?
I don't know what he said, but it's like, Tony's just, like, lost for words trying to explain where he found, like,
he's a bit on the young side.
Spider-Man. He's a little on the young side, okay? Like,
Yeah, leave it alone.
But then they figured out his plan, and they're able to, take over. It worked.
Yeah.
like, yeah, that Spider, he fit in well. I was worried about the new Spider-Man character, and he fit in really well in that scene. Oh,
Even off the bat, like running towards each other, and Spider-Man's like, they're still running towards us. What do we do?
He's like, so are we. I don't know who said that, but
That was pretty good.
Tony, I don't know what to do. Please tell me.
it's like, what do I do, Mr. Stark? It's like, stick to the plan, kid. Oh, it was really good. And Paul Rudd was out of his kind of like, he was a new up and comer in the league too, because he wasn't a part of the Avengers before either. And this is his debut to the Avengers. He's taking on bigger villains, and he's like on the inside tearing apart Iron Man's suit, like you said. Oh man, everyone getting a chance to shine. I don't think there was, except for maybe War Machine, everyone got a chance to shine. But that's because War Machine had something else going on. But he was still involved, very much involved.
Yeah, Ant-Man threw a fuel truck at him there by accident. Thought it was a water truck.
Yeah. Damn it, I thought that was a water tank.
There's so many good parts.
Again, the writing was spot on, and I think that speaks for itself. We keep talking about the one-liners. Well, the one-liners are there for the sake that they fed off of one another. It wasn't just a one-time thing and that was it, and you'd forget about it for 10, 15 minutes, and there'd be another one-liner. It was one right after the other. It was unbelievable how well they had written. Like you said, the cohesion between the characters. They could have easily said, well, you write for this character, you write for that, and you write for that, and so on and so forth, and then let's see how they fit at the end. No, they figured out a way to easily make them work in each given scene, right? Actually, I have to admit, when you mentioned Paul Rudd, playing as Ant-Man, again, because he's brought to the team officially now, even then he's starstruck. Oh my God, you're Captain America.
He's like, hey, I'm holding your hand way too long.
Turns to Scarlet Witch. I know you too. You're awesome. Obviously, he's just completely struck by how many people around him that he actually finds he doesn't think he's a hero himself. So of course it was perfect the way they kind of brought him into the picture. And Spider-Man no different. Actually, Spider-Man, and more importantly, was the way they had Tony come in onto the scene by surprising him at his apartment, right? And surprise, I know who you are, but he plays it dumb for a little while, like, you have to be this kid in the picture, and of course Peter plays dumb the entire time, and what does he do? Yanks on the attic door.
Yeah.
Boop, there's his suit. No, forget about that. That was just perfect, and it played on to that whole topic of Tony knew about Spidey before Spidey knew about the Avengers, other than just seeing them on television, right?
Right.
So the great writing on that part, so...
Anyways, we gotta talk about. Okay, go ahead.
No, can we talk about a different fight scene?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, okay, let's talk about
epic.
something not about the airport, because the airport scene was awesome, and that scene alone would be worth it to see this movie. But there was many great scenes in the movie.
I loved when they're running with the car.
That's when the action really started picking up. At the beginning, is when that was all happening. I'm like, this is cool, man. I was like, oh.
A lot of them have this super speed, essentially, and they're running with cars. On the highway.
Yeah, Captain America, cool. Black Panther, Bucky. Who else was Falcon? That was it.
Oh
okay,
yeah, Falcon did fly.
Was flying in. Yeah. Oh my God, that was a great
Winter
scene.
Soldier jumping on that motorcycle, knocks the guy off.
Yeah, he just grabs it and flings the guy right in the mid-air and just lands it perfectly. Jumps back on. Boom.
There's some good scenes there.
So many good scenes. That was so sick. Watching Black Panther, Captain America, the running beside cars, like, what the fuck?
And I'll tell you this, even the human superheroes had some good parts in it. Hawkeye, when he disabled Vision, where I was like, what the hell is he doing? I was like, oh, Hawkeye, you clever bastard.
Yeah. And he tricked...
first.
When he tricked Tony, that was a good one, too.
Yeah.
He's like, because he's like, oh, I never miss, and then Tony's like, oh, there's a first time for everything, and he's like,
he's
like, major luck, and then Scarlet Witch is bringing the cars down on his head.
Contusions detected. Yeah, I detected it too. Actually, you have to admit, speaking of choreography, I still am blown away at Black Widow's scenes.
She had amazing fight scenes.
Well, with her
Right off
crossbones, the way she would approach Crossbones, actually, before even then, she had to tackle all his thugs before she got to Crossbones. Every single thug was dispatched in a very, very unique manner. It was like, one rolled into the next. It wasn't so much to punch one guy out, kick another guy to the side.
And I feel like there was a lot of, like, jumping on his head, flipping twice, and somehow she lands on her feet. Like, just in the crazy stuff, breaking some guy's arm. Yeah. Do another flip, and just, like, okay, yeah, I guess why these humans, they are part of the Avengers, Like, you think, like, they don't have superpowers, but when they can do moves like that, yeah. Okay.
So easily, if you like any Avengers movie, you're gonna love this movie. It's action-packed with superpowered beatdowns from left, right, and center. Every which way you look, and just the shit you never even thought of. People get to use their powers. I bet you last time in Age of Ultron, you're like, you didn't get to use this power, or Ant-Man didn't get to grow big, or, like, this time everyone gets to use their powers that you didn't see. Everyone really comes to the table and brings what they have to offer this time.
Well, on that note, since we've tackled a lot of good things, should we start talking about the bad things? If there are any to be said?
Oh, there are.
There are. It's not the perfect movie. It's so close. Jpar would disagree. But let's take a fine-tooth comb to it, shall we?
Yeah.
I'll let you guys go first since you have
more
Miles,
start us off.
I think you two got some skepticism here.
Just a little bit.
So for me, it's not the adaptation from comic book to movie that was my gripe. I don't care that there was, a lot of stuff from the comic that didn't make the big screen. I was fine with that. And I think you nailed it. You said if they would have followed it closely, then maybe we would have had more gripes. Because then that would have been...
I think you're right in that. There's so much in the Civil War comic. There's so many pages, so much info. I'll agree with that.
So, you know what? I ripped on Batman vs. Superman quite a bit, so I'm going to let you two just go at it.
Okay, well, for me, my gripe was the bad guys. The antagonists. So Crossbones, right off the hop, gets dispatched. Boom. Why is he there? What is he stealing? Okay, it's a biological weapon. Where did he steal it from? Why is he stealing it? Who repaired him? Where did he get this armor? How does he have thugs? And then they just, he's gone.
More questions than answers.
Yeah, it was more questions. Just left everything ambiguous.
It was a fight to start the movie.
And that's what it was.
I will admit.
And I'll agree with you there. It was the catalyst that started this fire, right? Because Scarlet Witch had to dispatch him, but she dispatched him so fast she didn't realize, oh, fuck, I just took out a whole floor of a building with a bunch of people. They're all dead.
Yeah.
So I'll give you that. It was a catalyst. So we kept the 5 at this point. But then it kept on going, and we get introduced to Zemo. Baron von Zemo, or whatever the hell his name is. His backstory was so bad, and he was not even close to the comic book character at all. And, okay, I'm fine with that. But they just give him a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here. Like, he didn't even need to be in the movie.
No,
he was basically like a movie, like a plot. I don't even know how to describe it.
I feel like he was Luthor in
the
second Superman, where he had no real point of being there.
He was our Luthor for this movie for sure. It was like, okay, how are we gonna get the Winter Soldier out of his case? I'll have Zemo in there, Because if he is in this like super secure CIA underground raft or wherever the hell they were when Winter Soldier was caught, how did he get in there nonchalantly when they knew who the real doctor was? After, they find the body.
I know. It was just too convenient. Like, everything just fell into place perfectly for him. I felt like his plan, his ultimate scheme of things, was just one convenience after another. It just so happened to be that, his plan was coming together when in reality, at any given second, it should have just fallen apart so easily. Here's my question. How would he have known that by the end, at the end when he had Captain America, Bucky and Iron Man all in the same room. How did he know that all 3 of them were going to be in the same room to meet with him at the dam? For all he would have known, it would have been simply Bucky or simply Cap,
Or even just Cap and Bucky.
Yeah, because in the end, I understand it. He wants Iron Man to see that footage.
He wanted the Avengers disassemble, yeah.
Yeah, he wants to see them fight from within. I get that. All they had to do was feed Iron Man the footage, and I'm sure Iron Man would have put 2 and 2 together, and he would have done exactly what he needed to have done. But why did he have to have everyone meet together at the end of the movie in such a way? I don't know. It was just too convenient. That's the part I had a hard time wrapping my head around.
And then this story with the super soldiers, like they kill the parents of Stark to get the super soldier serum or whatever the hell that was. They didn't really talk about that too much.
That was Kree blood, was it not?
That's what I thought. So did they give Kree blood to these people?
Yeah, and
that
I think
was left ambiguous.
Yeah.
Again.
The blue.
I think
Yeah.
I almost
that
got
not
a
the Winter
feeling that
Soldier
might have been
serum?
explained like Agents of Shield or something like that.
Okay, well, I watch Agents of
Oh,
Shield.
do you?
And I'm caught up.
Okay, good. So then it isn't, I guess.
All it does is it heals fatal wounds.
Okay.
And that's it.
I thought it was Kree blood.
Yeah,
I thought it was Winter Soldier formula.
Well, that's what I thought
So
too.
Super
Because
Soldier
why
formula,
why
okay.
did
Yeah.
Winter Soldier steal it, bring it to buddies, and then all of a sudden they have like 5 super soldiers?
The
Five
reason
Winter
he
Soldiers.
stole it originally because he was programmed, right? They had said the programming letters and words or whatever,
Yeah.
numbers that made him become a
Well,
robot.
You're right, it could be. Yeah.
I assumed it was the Winter Soldier formula because they said they made
Right.
5 others. There was 5.
Right,
in the
yeah,
British
yeah.
And
days.
they showed them.
I'm
They
sure,
showed
I'm sure
5.
the Super Soldier serum isn't like the formula that made Winter Soldier isn't exactly the same as a Super Soldier. They probably like ripped it off or like
I believe that's correct. The guy who made the super
backwards
serum.
engineered it. You know. Like-
Yeah,
That's
but the
more
guy
of
who
a-
had the original formula is dead, and it was never written down or anything. Correct?
But here's the problem: we're all left with these questions and trying to figure
Yeah.
it out together.
Yeah, but if
it
you
wasn't
read Marvel
answered.
comics, and you kind of know,
Well,
you know what I mean.
Let me ask you
You
guys.
figure it
I mean,
out. It's a comic movie.
That's why I got the 0.5
All right,
off.
cool,
'cause
though.
It all led to this final fight scene with the 5 super soldiers, and you're like, okay, Cap and Winter Soldier are gonna take on these dudes. Oh, now Iron Man's there. He's got to be there because these 5 Winter Soldiers beat the crap out of Bucky at the beginning. Like, well, not the beginning, but somewhere in between.
Yeah.
And then what happens? They're all dead.
They're all, before
I
they
felt
They
like
got
that was
bullet
such
in
a
the head. It was so
cop-out.
anticlimactic. Yeah,
I
it was a
really-
major cop out.
I really felt like I was like, oh, they're all dead. I thought there was gonna be like some epic fight where they
Same
fought
here.
5 of them.
Yes.
And just like, no, I just put a bullet in their brain while they were sleeping.
Yeah. like what?
Okay.
Oh, like I could have done that.
Yeah.
Those are very valid points. I totally agree. But you know what? I like that the villains weren't in so much the attraction this time. I like that it was more about the heroes fighting this
I
time.
think it had to be. There was 12 heroes in it, 6 on 6.
And-
It's-
Because Batman vs. Superman isn't really about Batman vs. Superman. It's about Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman taking on Zombie-Zod at the end.
yeah,
And Lex Luthor fucking around with everybody and being weird. You know? Believe I liked it was more because if it would have happened your guys' way, I do agree because most movies do end that way. That's well written movies are. I don't disagree with your points, but I think if it would have went that way, then it would have been a fight with the super soldiers and Zemo at the end, and then Cap and Tony just would have shook hands. Everything would have been okay. No, instead
I would have been fine.
instead they fight again, and in your heart you're like, oh. Because you came to see them fight, you want to see them fight, but you really actually want to see them be friends at the end because you actually care about these characters, right? Don't just looking at
Yeah,
Skip.
no, I believe you. It's just the whole Zemo.
Well, how did you-
side story?
how did you
It
feel-
honestly, didn't even need to be in the movie at that point. We didn't need. The
Yeah, but
super
he also
soldiers.
exposed that video for Tony to see, and then that was the catalyst. Because by that time
then we
it seemed
didn't
like
need the Kree blood
like
super
Iron
serum.
Man and
It
Captain
could have
America
been
made
anything
up.
in there. It could have been just kill Tony Stark.
I feel.
Or 26.
I
Well,
get
you're
what
right. You
saying.
didn't need the Kree blood or the super
No.
soldier
I see what you're
segment.
saying, Miles. I feel like they tried to put a bit too much in there, and they didn't really know where to go with it. And they're like, all right, just kill them all off.
That's
Quick
what
bullet
it
in their
was.
head,
I
and,
think
like,
that's what it was. It was like we had just hit 2.5 hours. What are we gonna do now?
yeah, we can't
My-
do anything else.
kill them
That's
all.
gone.
My theory is this movie was supposed to be something completely different, and then they changed story. They changed it when they turned into Civil War. Because originally it wasn't supposed to be Civil War. It was supposed to be like supposed to be like Rogers going out to find Bucky.
Oh, okay.
And then that's what the story was about. And then when they did Batman, when they announced Batman versus Superman, they're like, why don't we do like Cap versus Iron Man and make it just Civil War? Like the fans want it anyways. So,
Well,
but you're right. So they probably did take like what their original script and they threw in all the Civil War stuff in there.
Can we all admit, though, that the way they approach Civil War is not the same as a lot of the typical comic book movies lately, though? And I say that in the sense of this. I can't watch Civil War now and expect it to be that it's like, superheroes versus a supervillain. It's not as simple as that. It was the establishment of the superheroes being forced to fight each other. And I think that's where I feel like Zemo was losing his ground for me, because he's not exactly the villain you expected. I would have been a lot more satisfied if they would have figured out a way for Crossbones to be more of an intricate part of the plot.
I thought he was going to be, actually.
Well, it's like you guys had said, he's the catalyst, but the catalyst wasn't enough for me, and then all of a sudden we're left with Zemo. That was it. And
I actually like Zemo, but you're right. You're actually right. They really underplayed Zemo.
I just feel like because of that, I felt like there was that lack of impact on the opposite side of all these superheroes fighting against each other, which I think is the reason why we had so many heroes pitted against each other. That was the ultimate fighting that we were going to end up with anyway. I think we're all leading up to one other topic that came to mind for me. The lack of the ultimate death of someone.
Right.
Whether it be
we didn't address that.
Cap was never...
No major hero dies in this.
This is why I gave it a 4.
I'll let Lipp go.
For me, I don't know. When I read part of the Civil War, like a big plot point for me was Captain America dying, which obviously he doesn't really die. He comes back later. But, at the time it was a big thing. I got like a little fake newspaper at my place, Death of Captain America. It was a big thing in the comic book world, at least at the time. And going into this movie, we had a couple, maybe like an hour or two discussion, like who's gonna die, placing bets.
We really did think someone was gonna die.
Yes, because that's what you go in thinking, expecting, and the reason I gave it a 4 instead of 4.5
and
is...
I feel like that's why I should have gave it a 4.5, because it didn't fulfill this.
It didn't fulfill it, and I just feel like this is Disney's little touch on it. This is Disney's little...
Don't say that.
Yeah, don't say that.
Don't say that.
Disney's getting dark.
It is, but at the end of the day, like I'm telling you, nobody died. They didn't even handicap.
Wait for Infinity War.
They did handicap Rhodey.
He's walking at the end. That's bullshit. He's not a handicapped. He didn't oracle out.
Winter Soldier has 1 arm. Winter Soldier has 1 arm.
Yeah, that'll get rebuilt. I just feel like it's a cop-out. At the end of the day,
Cap doesn't have his shield.
Cop-out. At the end of the day...
Peggy Carter's dead.
I'll replace him after living a full and beautiful life.
She had her own TV series.
She died of natural causes.
Yeah.
It was a very boring death.
At the end of the day, I feel like they just took the death out because they wanted to make it more kid-friendly. They don't want to kill any character off. You want to sell more toys. You can't kill off War Machine. You can't kill off Iron Man. You gotta sell those toys to little kids. I just feel like at the end of the day, I was expecting a death or at least a maiming or like somebody had to go and just nothing. Everybody's pretty happy at the end. Cap doesn't
Not really. Captain
Cap
Iron
doesn't have
Man.
his shield. Oh,
No, they're not friends anymore. They fucked up their friendship.
They left that ambiguous as well because Cap sends him a letter, says,
Yeah.
I wish we could come to a conclusion.
I know.
P.S. Here's a flip phone from 1993.
Here's how you can reach me.
Yeah. So
for me, I just felt like that was the Disney twist to it, which was it was kind of nicely tied into a knot. Instead of leaving it with a cliffhanger or somebody dead at the end, which would have been awesome.
You're right.
It would have been nice as well. So
You're actually right.
happy.
You're actually right. I should give it a 4.5. It shouldn't be
Too
a
late.
5. But I'm still going to stick with my 5.
So my 4 is based on expectations going in. I was expecting somebody to die. I was ready for it. I felt the fans expected it. They had free reign to kill somebody. And like you said, it didn't have to be Captain America. It could have been...
Black Widow.
Could have been Winter Soldier. I really thought Winter Soldier.
I thought Winter Soldier should have died, but whatever.
Maybe even War Machine. I don't know.
Samuel L. Jackson wasn't in there, but they could have brought him in to die.
That's
His
another
character's
good
essentially
point, yeah.
useless, as you said before.
That's
Shield's
what I
breaking
thought. They
up.
should have just taken out Nick Fury. Yeah.
They could have killed somebody, and
Again.
people wouldn't
By
have
the
said
way,
shit,
although
and they didn't.
Okay, this is another thing. I thought Nick Fury was going to die because I saw a really, really old clip from one of the original teaser trailers that had Maria Hill saying, "We're planning a funeral," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, Nick Fury's going to die." But I realize now it was Peggy Carter.
Yes.
But where was Maria Hill? She wasn't even in the movie, was she?
No.
That part was taken out.
It was cut. Interesting.
What's also interesting, and it would have given me a 5.0, if they would have ended the movie with kind of the way the Civil War ended in the comics, where you see everybody from each side just sit down together, and you realize who is now on which side. Because Spider-Man was left, is he
On the
good?
fence.
Is he bad?
Yeah.
Why are you here, Spider-Man? Oh, Tony Stark said that you're wrong, and you think you're right, so you're dangerous. So he doesn't even know why he's there. So maybe he switched sides, we don't know. So yeah, I would have got a 5 for sure. Because that, for me, if they would have showed where everybody lied, because Black Widow was on the fence, and then she kind of just jumped fence halfway through the movie, and you knew that was coming.
Yeah, I think we all kind of saw that. She was torn. She was in the bit.
She got really
in between
close.
both sides.
But
for
then
most of the movie.
Vision started to switch too after he did that little airport mistake.
Yeah, a little bit.
So
I still feel like Vision's pretty set on this
Analytical?
side. Yes,
But he's also a Scarlet Witch fan.
yes.
Which is a really weird approach. That whole thing is freaking me out.
Yeah, but you know it happened in the comics,
I know it happened
though.
in the comics, but they didn't really go. They went as far as she had a kid, and then they just retconned it. They're like, this is too weird. We hit rock bottom, and then they got rid of it.
Like a lot of Marvel storylines,
Yeah.
i.e., Spider-Man revealing his identity to the
That
public,
was not
which
in there.
they did not do. Thank God.
I'm happy with that, too,
That's
yes.
one thing they did right.
Instead, they did Black Panther.
Well, they did a lot right,
To
but-
me, Black Panther was the Spider-Man, and I think we kind of figured
Yes.
that going in.
Yeah, I figured
Yeah.
that as well.
Because he was one direction the entire movie, and then right 3 quarters
he was
away, he's
fucking
like,
cool,
oh, crap.
too.
But
That's
he
good.
revealed his identity.
Yeah,
Right
I am
off
the
the
King
hop,
of
he's-
Wakanda
Yeah,
and Black
yeah.
Panther.
Like,
But you
crap.
knew right away because you saw that he wasn't the king right away, and you were like, this isn't right. He's supposed to be the king.
Yeah.
And then when you saw his dad standing by that window, I'm like, oh, okay, this is the assassination that's going to happen, the king of Wakanda. This is how he gets involved.
Yeah.
You know, and you kind of saw that happening. But, you know, kind of a necessary step to take to get that
Have
story
you guys
going.
both read at least the start of Civil War, where Tony Stark gives Peter Parker the awesome Spider-Man costume?
Yes.
Yeah.
They didn't include that in there. I think it's
Iron
probably
Spider.
for the best.
If
but
you
the
listen
Iron
to-
Spider's an awesome costume.
Oh, I know.
'Cause
You know,
essentially,
Lipp,
Spider-Man.
If
gets
you
an
listen to
Iron
this
Man
great
costume.
podcast called We Promise Comics, you can hear all about it, where these great two guys called Myles and Jpar talk about it.
Who are those fuckers?
I don't know, but you should listen to their podcast. They're two cool cats.
They're very modest as well.
Very modest. Very, very, very modest.
It's almost like I've heard their voices before.
Yeah. Voice of angels.
So yeah, I think it was probably a good thing they didn't give him the Iron Spider suit to start.
Yes.
But like,
This is an introduction to Spider-Man. That's too much.
but I
at
wanted
once.
to see it. I really did.
Okay, last gripe.
You still can because Spider-Man Homecoming's coming.
Yes, that's true.
Final gripe, while we're talking about Spider-Man. The super secret second ending. Did you guys see it?
The super secret Santa super saver ending? What?
Did you guys not see the second
I
ending?
saw-
We stayed all the way
I
to
saw
the
both
credits.
endings. That's what you're talking about,
Yes.
nerd.
Okay.
I'm trying to think what it is now. I can't remember.
Wakanda was the first one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Spider-Man
Yes.
was the second one.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you see.
Don't come in here, Aunt May.
Yeah, and he's got the light coming from his wristwatch, which I'm
Which is
assuming is
essentially-
part of the technology that he's
Something
getting from
that's
Tony.
Tony sent him,
Yes,
which
that's
is like
right.
his little Spidey signal that he has from his belt in the comics.
Yeah,
But
and
in this, what is it? A watch or
It's
what
his
is it?
watch.
Yeah, it looks
which-
like a watch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Based on current, Iron Man technology,
Yes.
that watch could probably turn into a full suit.
Well, isn't that supposed to be his communicator?
Right?
So now it's gonna be this is the Iron Spider suit.
Based on current Iron Man technology seen in the films.
So I felt like when I seen that and I'd seen the symbol on the ceiling there, I was instantly brought to. I was thinking right away of the animated Spidey, cartoons. This idea that he had a. I really hope they don't go as far as to doing this, but the Spidey bike and a bunch of other weird things, which clearly
The
was
Spidey
Marvel.
bike.
From Disney's perspective, trying to bring in a lot of elements just to create Spider-Man more.
The
of a
Spider
hero than-
Doom buggy. That's what you're thinking of.
Spider bike
no,
too.
There was a Spider Doom buggy as well.
Shot two webs, one behind it, one in front, and then it rode on the web. This is a bit much.
So that's what I'm worried about. But at the same time, it kind of immediately opened up the avenue to all of these optional things that the world of Spider-Man we hadn't seen yet. So I'm anxious for that. But I'm anxious more anxious for Black Panther personally.
I'm
He's
excited
got
for the
a
Black
whole-
Panther
Okay, so I gotta say, I was a little bit disappointed at Age of Ultron. This kind of set things back in place with me with Marvel. They're back on track again. How do you guys feel?
Age of Ultron was crap.
I don't
I-
want to say
I
it was
agree.
crap.
It was terrible.
I liked it, but it just
It was bad.
there was some weird stuff going on in it that made me not enjoy it as much as the other Avengers movies.
It was poor. It was just the placement of characters. It was jumbled scenes. You didn't know what the hell was
That's what I'm
happening
saying. I
at the
feel
time.
like they handled the characters much better in this one. And
no
there was more
maiming.
characters.
There was no maiming in Age of Ultron. That was my problem. You never really felt like anybody was in real danger. Ever.
Until Quicksilver
In Age
died.
Even then, he shouldn't have died. He's faster than a bullet.
I mean, he's
And he
supposed to be.
And then he forgot.
Wait, I'm faster than a bullet,
Yeah, but then
right?
when he remembered that, he was covered in bullet holes, so it was too late.
And now for Deep Thoughts with Quicksilver. I'll add the music there.
This one to me felt like there was always a constant danger factor. Like right off the
Oh
bat,
my God. I
Captain
still
America
thought
could
someone
have
was gonna
died
die,
right off the
yeah.
hop. It was just like boom, Crossbones blows himself up, but Scarlet Witch contains the blast.
My
So
favorite.
it was kind of like, okay, people are in danger now. Age of Ultron, it was just like he didn't really give a shit.
Well, they made so many
he was in
corny
the
jokes.
internet the whole fucking time.
My problem with that is
He
right
was
after
on
Quicksilver
Pornhub.
died, they went right back to their They went right back to the cornball jokes, and then it took the levity away of him dying.
Yeah, there was no funeral.
But there was a lot more
no-
levity in this
who cares?
movie, even though no one really important died.
I'll tell you this: I love Joss Whedon's writing and stuff, but yeah, I agree. Age of Ultron is it's scraping the bottom of the barrel for these Captain America movies. It's definitely the
Avengers
worst.
movies.
Yeah,
it
so-
was
yeah.
Avengers, it was bad.
I think that's the interesting thing about all this. We keep commenting on all these different Marvel movies, and it seems to me like it's always the Captain America movies that have to pick up the slack of all the other ones.
Well, that's because the Russo brothers have knocked it out of the park
Yeah.
in the last two.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it goes to show
All
just
right,
what happens to
we
guys.
are
Infinity
running
Wars.
into overtime, folks. So let's quickly get into our favorite part of the movie and our least favorite part of the movie. Doesn't have to be a scene; could be just like something that you liked about the movie in general, or something you didn't like with the movie in general. So you can go first this time, Lip.
Ooh, okay. Favorite part? It's probably just the little bickering between Falcon and
Oh my God,
Winter
they were so
Soldier
funny.
in the truck, and also
I think they
we
had the
didn't-
funnier lines actually.
Yeah, and also when what's her name? When Cap gets the kiss or whatever,
Yeah.
they go
Yeah.
woo in the
Yeah, they're both,
car.
like, smiling in the
yeah,
car.
you know, like they're enjoying it. Like that whole
Yeah.
car scene, I really enjoyed it. That was one of the best.
That was good.
And then of course the airport fight scene. Who could not love that? And then just my gripe obviously is nobody dead or even really physically wounded. Like he's walking at the end.
War Machine.
Yeah, he's walking at the
One Arm
end.
Winter Soldier.
And put him in a War Machine suit. He's flying again. Like he'll be fine. I assume he's gonna have zero restrictions ever again, right? Like that's my assumption going into this.
Boo. Favorite part or least favorite?
I think for me, when I'm watching all these Marvel movies, I think what I always seem to take away from them is I always look for the new fight scenes. And I think with that said, I'm always nitpicking at the choreography. And I am exceptionally impressed with the choreography in this movie. Well, we can talk about all the fight scenes all we want, but let's just face it, as a lump sum here, I kind of feel like they hit each individual scene spot on, and it was not overly done. It was not underestimated. It was just perfect. So I think I'm just going to leave that as is. I could say a variety of things that really had me really hyped up about. Actually, Spider-Man himself, I was really anxious for. I was worried going in, but I was very satisfied after leaving the movie. What I didn't like about it, I have to admit, it had to do with Zemo. I had a hard time taking him seriously. I get that he's just your average human being wanting to regain vengeance, for the death of his family, but holy Christ, man, did you have to go so fucking far to pull this off? I mean, and not to mention, how many horseshoes up your ass did you have to actually make this work? Mm-hmm. I didn't like the way that fell into place, but it wasn't enough for me not to like the movie. That's what I loved about it in the end. I still loved it to death, no matter how bad Zemo's character didn't seem to fit in.
Yeah, my favorite part, you guys already said, you said the airport. Obviously, that's going to be everyone's favorite scene in the movie. You said the choreography, of course. I love the choreography. It's amazing in this movie. And you already mentioned the quiz between them two. I just want to say how well it was handled was my favorite part. Because, like I said, I felt Age of Ultron, there was just too much. And Whedon didn't know how to handle it, but the Russos handled this perfectly. Like, every character got to shine. It wasn't a jam-packed thing the way Age of Ultron was. Every character was there for a reason. I remember we're halfway through the movie, and Lip's like, Spider-Man's not even in this movie yet. And you were just like, it's already good. You know what I mean? It was already exciting. It was just, and then my least favorite part, I wanted to say there was some downtime when we started learning about the new Spider-Man, and that's where it got a little bit slow in the middle of the movie. Not too much. It quickly picked up again. But it's because I just like, I didn't know what to think about this Spider-Man at first, so it kind of got slow there, but you're right. Like, that Zemo character, I actually really like Zemo from the comic, and I feel like he wasn't represented well this time. I'm hoping he didn't die, so I'm hoping they might bring him back and actually show him the way he's supposed to be next time if they bring him back. But I guess the idea of having to get used to a new Spider-Man is maybe like my worst part. But I'll get used to it. I know I will.
So for me, it was the inventive interactions between team-ups or pair-ups or match-ups that happen. like even just Winter Soldier and Captain America fighting together, they're trapped in this little tiny room and they're being attacked by like this German death squad, and right off the bat, Winter Soldier takes Cap's shield and protects both of them with the shield, and it's just like, okay, I'm in it, everyone's doing crazy stuff. Spider-Man fighting everybody in really cool, inventive ways, but he was having fun while he's doing it. He's almost like starstruck as he's fighting them. It's like he could take
It's like,
them out.
sorry guys, it's like, you're not supposed to be talking so much while a fight's going on. It's like, oh, my bad.
Yeah. You have the right to remain silent, and he's holding on to Falcon in midair. He never felt like he was actually in danger or things were serious.
Oh, he's just a kid, just like, I know,
Yeah,
like
he's having
these
fun.
powers, and he's like, I'm just trying to do my job, trying to do a good job for Mr. Stark, you know?
My favorite out of all that. Wow, you have a metal arm!
But yeah, it was just the interactions. Like, they had Black Panther against Hawkeye, and Hawkeye's like, so I'm Clint, and he shoots his bow around and everything. Black Panther's like, I don't care. And then they start fighting, and I'm like, I love
That
it.
was awesome, too.
All the interactions were great. And I know we already talked about this, but for me, it was Zemo. I felt like his backstory sucked. The way that he was able, like you said, Horseshoe, how was he able to get into this super secret CIA op and one-on-one with
That guy's
Winter
also
Soldier?
a good actor, too, so
He's
I
a
would have
really good
liked
actor.
to see them do more with that.
He's a really good actor. I'm not playing on his acting. It's just the placement of where he was just not good. And then the anticlimactic ending of him killing the super soldiers, and it kind of took away from like Tony's parents' death in the first place. It's just like, what? That was it for me.
I will say one more thing that I really, really liked. I liked that, like I said, or no, you know what? I covered this already. I liked that there wasn't a big, like, I liked that it was the showdown at the end between, you thought you were going to get the bad guys versus the good guys at the end, and it ended up being, once again, Iron Man and against Captain America and Winter Soldier at the end. And just the final beatdown at the end. And they kind of leave not so much like friends, kind of friends. I don't know.
Hence why you gave it a 5 point.
Well, I did because it was different. I mean, I feel... Yeah, I guess I should defend that 5. I feel like Marvel worked to get here. When I read comics when I was younger, and I read these superhero crossovers, I'm like, man, it would be so cool just to see like a Spider-Man versus Hulk or something like that, like on TV, Wolverine versus, like Captain America, something like that. That would be really cool. And I realized how long it would take to develop these characters to get it to that point where it actually meant something when, Spider-Man finally fought Captain America. It actually meant something.
The physics on your shield are ridiculous.
They don't make sense.
So, I mean, when I was a kid, I always dreamed of having a movie like this, and that's why I can't take anything away from it. I have to give it a 5 because this is where I wanted to get to ever since I saw this Marvel universe, cinematic universe starting to build. I wanted to get to this point where even the heroes are fighting each other.
So it's like 9 years? Or when did Iron Man come out? 2008?
I feel like it's been 10. It's almost been 10 years, eh?
Yeah, has it been a decade, really?
Almost.
Since the first Iron Man, I believe that was the start of the Marvel movie run.
Jesus. Didn't think it was that long already. It doesn't feel like it's been that long.
I
Though.
think
When
it's
you really think
2007
It's been a heck of a ride.
Yeah.
One last gripe. The Registration Act. They didn't really talk about it too much,
They
and
really
it was
don't.
completely left ambiguous. Did they need to reveal their identities? They never said that.
No, they don't really
The
talk about
only
it too
thing they
much.
said is that super-powered people needed to be in check.
Yeah.
And what they basically said is, you sign this, you're part of a team, we send you on the
And
missions
we are
that
the
we
team
decide
leaders,
what
yes.
they are. You don't go out rogue. And if you don't sign it, you retire. That was it. Like, then they didn't say you had to reveal. They didn't say anything like that. Just sign it, you're part of the team. Don't sign it, you're no longer a superhero. Nowhere in between. That was what we were given.
Well, who knows? Maybe they're trying to let that be explained better in the next one, I would think. Because they certainly had to introduce us to, the idea of having them register. Maybe they didn't want it to be the main focus of the movie, though.
Now I'm wondering if is Team Iron Man are they still going to be doing this? I don't think so. Not after what happened. Are they still going to be tracking down other superhumans to make people sign the registration?
Well, that's
Like,
the other thing. It was left ambiguous at the end. Who is part of Team Iron Man? It seemed like everybody went slowly Team Cap by the end.
I don't think there is a Team Iron Man
group
by
of
the
them
time you
had
get to the end. It seems like...
A group of them
by
had already
himself.
signed the petition. Had already signed the papers.
Okay, we already know War Machine 6 of them no matter what.
Yeah. War Machine was with him.
Most
to the
likely
end.
Vision would stay with him.
I would think so. as
Yeah,
well.
due to guilt. Same with, I would think Scarlet Witch would have been the same, but I don't know if she would necessarily
Scarlet Witch
want
seemed to be going the other way by the end.
I think she didn't not like the idea of losing her freedom. In the end, I can see her character really not seeing, the benefit of being shackled, no matter how hard they encouraged it to be a benefit to everyone. And yet, at the same time, we see Iron Man and Rhodes kind of look at the bigger picture and say, you know what? Yeah, we do need to be kept under check because look at how much destruction and death we've caused. Not because of what we've done, but because of what we couldn't, couldn't stop. You know what I mean?
It was the line that Thunderbolt Ross said right at the beginning that kind of set the tone. Was, do you guys know where Thor and Incredible Hulk are right now? Because if I lost 250 megaton nukes, I'd be in trouble right now. Yeah. How come you guys aren't in trouble?
And actually, I didn't mention
wow, that's a really good way to look at it.
Yep.
Yeah.
They are 2 nukes just flying around everywhere.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, we didn't talk about it, but I was pretty happy they weren't in there. Those big powerhouses.
Me too.
I find
it was better without them.
Here's the thing: it's really hard to have the Hulk and Thor in there, and then
because they're so overpowering.
And then have humans, have Hawkeye and Black Widow, and then without people going, why the hell are humans here? Right? It's just a little bit. Super suits, yes, okay. And
even like
super
characters like
strength
Spider-Man and Black Panther would have been underplayed under those 2 big brutes.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what made the airport scene so good.
Yeah.
Everybody was kind of on the same playing field, and they all had the equal opportunity to take another person
That's
out.
why they needed guys
agree.
like Ant-Man and Hawkman to shine, like...
So that's nice to have. Like, I felt like the big powerhouse in this one is Vision, actually. But he's so... nice.
Yeah.
Vision, right?
He's got the courtesy of Jarvis, you know?
Very conservative.
You called him analytical. I think that's a perfect way of describing him. He would have had a tendency of looking at, again, the bigger picture and realizing that before he acted, he had to think about his actions first. Which I appreciated out of all the characters, in this big picture of things. Tony and Cap had their own point of views, but they were very personal, and they couldn't get away from that. So I kind of feel like that's part of the reason why I appreciated Vision, but he wasn't a big powerhouse like you said he might have been, because he could have easily just kind of stepped in amongst all of them and say, you know what, nope, that's it, stop it. And he could have stopped them easily, I don't think without even,
And, he even,
too hard.
despite the fact being analytical and a robot, he still had some comedy, where he just kind of pops in through the wall. They're like, whoa, yeah, you gotta stop doing that, bitch. And he's like, but the door was open, I thought
like
it would
that
be
he's
okay.
always
But
trying to
he doesn't get that, okay, the door being open means you can come in, but you should come in through the door, not pop in through a wall and scare everybody. Right? He doesn't get that part of it, which I think is still funny. And
okay, we gotta wrap this up because we've been gushing about this movie. So everyone go around the table, final thoughts.
It was a great movie. Go see it tonight.
absolutely go see it. Try not to be disappointed nobody dies.
Yeah, keep an open mind, guys, but it's an absolute thrill beginning to end.
It's a great action-packed thriller. If you like Marvel movies, you will love this movie. It's choreographed very well. Russo brothers knocked it out of the park. Go see this movie. Alright, so that is our review of Captain America Civil War. This is Jpar signing out.
And Miles vacating the zip code.
Lipp, take it off. And Boo going bye-bye.
Good night, everybody!